as was mentioned at a previous time, that not always do we have one of the special angles or multiple of the special angles, but we still need to know the value of a trig function. So for instance, 48 degrees. 48 degrees is not related to any of the angles that we already have some knowledge of. And so we don't have a way to come up with the exact value of the cosine of 48 degrees because we don't really know the point, the coordinates of the point that 48 degrees would give us. So we're going to have to use a calculator. Now that will approximate. Now to use a calculator, we've got to use either a scientific or a graphing calculator. And of course, you're responsible for knowing how to do that, learning how to do that. But here's the two things we're worried about. That we're dealing with in this case, the cosine of 48 degrees, okay? Now, in all cases, the calculator will have, what buttons does the calculator have? Okay? The calculator has a button for cosine. Let me do this. It has a button for cosine, COS, has a button for sine, SIN, has a button for tangent. Actually, on your calculator, they're all in capital letters. So we're safe there that in this case, all we're going to have to do is find the cosine button. Well, maybe not the only thing we're going to have to do. Remember, we can find the sine or cosine of an angle that's either given in degrees or radians. And since we see here that we're doing this in degrees, we have to make sure that the mode, that's what it's called, the mode is set to degrees, because that's what we're dealing with. And so let me show you how to do this, and I'll tell you in advance, when we do all the work, we're going to find out that the cosine of 48 degrees, and you can try it ahead of time if you want to, is going to give us a long string, okay, and we'll most likely round that off, but it's going to give us 0.6691306064. So we'll go to calculator mode and let me show you that. Well, the next one we want to do here, as you see, is calculate the cosecant of 21 degrees.
Well, you heard that I got ahead of myself here accidentally, so let's do this cosine of 48 degrees. Let me turn my calculator on. Now, because we could be in either degree mode or radian mode, we need to check that out, and we do that with this key right here. If you have a graphing calculator, the mode key. When I press that, you'll see that the third line down, there's normal, flashing, float, next, radian, or degree. So we go down to where we're interested in, and it's right now set on radians. So we cursor over to where it says degree, and then we enter that, and we're ready to do our problem. Now, we need to quit this mode function, and to quit, you see that quit is above the key, and it's yellow, so we press the second key and then mode again, and it takes us back to the main screen. Now we're ready. We find the cosine key, click it. Notice that it opens a parenthesis, and so we're ready to put in our angle. It's assuming angle, so we don't have to put in degrees, so we don't have to put in degrees. We close the parentheses and we press enter, and yes, that's 0.6691306064, as you see. So that's the way we would handle that. It's very simple. We just have to be concerned about what mode we're in, either radians or degrees. Now let's continue with the next problem. I'll just see if I can just pull this off screen a bit, and we'll continue now.
Now, again, 21 degrees is not related to any one of our special angles. So that's the reason we're going to have to use the calculator here. Now here's the next thing. Remember, above, your calculator only has 3 trig function buttons, cosine, sine, and tangent. It doesn't have a cosecant button. See, there's no button. Okay. Oops, does that mean we can't do it? No, it doesn't mean we can't do it. Here's what we remember. That the cosecant, that's why I told you this is what the kind of stuff we need to remember. The cosecant of an angle is the same as 1 over the sine of the angle, okay? That's what we need to remember. So, when we go to, so now what that tells us, okay, when we're going to do this, to calculate the cosecant of, what was it, 21 degrees? Then the way we're going to do that is we're going to calculate 1 over the sine of 21 degrees. And so we're going to have our calculator, we're going to type in a 1 divide by. Now the other thing that we're going to have to be concerned about here, okay, the other thing that we're going to have to be concerned about here is that the mode is in degrees. Now if we're just doing this in succession, it's set 2 degrees. We've already got our calculator in degrees because of the last problem we did, but we've got to be concerned about that. So we'll get back to the calculator and see the way we do this calculation. And again, the way we do this calculation is we're going to enter into the calculator 1 divided by the sine of 21 degrees. And when we do, then we should get, and I should have said approximately above because it's not actually equal to, but it's approximately equal to. In this case, it's going to be a 2.79042811.
Okay, so my calculator's back. Just to make sure, I'm going to check mode. Oh, I need to turn it on. Okay, now check mode. And I'm in degree mode, so that's good. That means I'm prepared to go. And so, as we said, cosecant, the way I'm going to deal with that is I'm going to say 1 divided by and have it calculate the sine of 21 degrees. And those is in degrees, so I don't need to worry about anything further. And now I'm set, press return, and sure enough, there's that point, that 2.7904 and so on. So it's very straightforward. We just have to remember how we can deal with the cosecant function in this case.
Well, on our third example here, I didn't write everything out. We're to approximate or find the value of the tangent of pi over 12. Pi over 12 is certainly not a multiple or an integer multiple anyway of any of the angles, the special angles that we've been dealing with. So we've got to use our calculator. That's again. Now, in this case, we're all right with the button, aren't we? There is a tangent button, so we're not worried about that. But now we have to recognize that we're in radians now. See, we don't see any degrees. It doesn't say degrees. And so we've got to recognize we're in radians, so we've got to make sure that we put the mode of the calculator, we need to set it to, it's set to radians. Okay, so that's one of the things we're going to have to worry about. And now another thing we have to worry about is how we're going to enter pi. We don't approximate, let's be careful, how to enter pi on our calculator. We don't approximate pi by replacing it with 3.14 because that won't give us a good enough calculation. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you. Our button is okay. We've got to set to radian mode, and we've got to know how to enter pi. Now, I'll tell you the result. What we should get when we're done with this is the tangent of pi over 12. When we're done, should be approximately 0.267 1924, I believe, 1924. Now, probably in our homework, it's going to tell us to round to 2 decimal places or something. I'm just telling you what's going to come out on the calculator. So let's go through this process.
Okay, so turn the calculator on again. I think I'll clear the screen at this point. Now let's go to mode. We know that we have to be in radians. So we go to mode and we see, of course, we're currently in degree mode. So we go down to the third line where it's flashing on radian and we click enter. So now we have radians chosen. We leave this mode screen, and now we're ready for the tangent of pi over 12. So we enter with the TAN key, tangent, it opens the parenthesis. The pi is the issue. And if you'll notice, and it may be a little different on your calculator, but if you notice on this calculator, it's hard to see. There's a pi right here, and it's above the little caret key, the little housetop key or exponentiation key. Okay, there it is. And it's yellow. So that means we have to press the second key and then the caret key, and pi will come up. And we need a pi and then divide by 12. So we press second, this key, notice pi shows up, and now we need to divide pi, so we use the division key, by 12. And now we'll close our parenthesis, and we're set to ask for the result by pressing enter, and there we go, 0.267949, and so on. So it's, again, very simple to do.